Hello, everyone. Wayne Bailey here. I want to introduce Mario Malabunga from Hoke County High School. Mario is going to present tonight Drone2Maps and how to be able to start using this, especially for those ones going into your second year that wants to teach your students mapping. Okay, Mario, cheers, sir.
Good evening. I'm Mario, and I'm here to show you how Drone2Map works. And actually, we will start before we do Drone2Map. We'll be starting first with Pix4D and how to get your account. I think yesterday or the other day, Dr. Barber sent out a copy of the Drone2Map training where you need to get your username and password for the Esri ArcGIS account. Let me share my screen first. All right, so this one first, for those who haven't done this, you will have to go to this link here, okay, for the arcgis.com. So this is a company that enables us to share pictures or maps and other information on this website here. We are lucky to have a free account because software like Drone2Maps, Pix4D, Mapper, and other products, they are very expensive, and we are very lucky to have free software for us. Here in this step here, you should have all your username and password. You will need this in Drone2Map software. So once you're here, okay, you will have to go to another link, which is the Drone2Map downloads. The website looks like this. From here, once you download this on a PC, Mac guy too, and it did not work for me, and it won't work for any Apple or MacBook. So this will not work. It's only for PC. So once you download this software, it will be in your computer. Okay, it's not a web-based software. Okay, it's in your local computer. So here, you install it on PC, and then you select all defaults to install, and it will take some time, and it's a big application. Depending on how fast your computer is, sometimes it will take minutes, and sometimes, hopefully not, but an hour. And once you have installed the app, you should open it, and it will ask you to sign in with your ArcGIS account. So you will need your username and password again. So from here, we will get a sample pictures from this link here. Once you download this, save that folder in a spot. Like for example, for me, I usually put it in desktop or in documents so I could easily find the drone images folder that you will have to download. Inside that folder that you will have to download from this link are 36 photos that came from ASRI. So again, save it into a spot or a location where you can easily find it. Another thing that we have to do is to use or download first is the Pix4D capture. There are other software that you could use for collecting pictures using the drone. So one of these Pix4D capture. Kitty Hawk has has flight automation also, or automatic missions that you can get pictures. Other software like Litchi, and there are other apps on the phone that you can download so you can autonomously get pictures. So I'm going to start, once you have done everything here, I'm going to start first, since I'm using Pix4D capture and it's free. I will start with this one. So for Pix4D, I just want to give you a heads up that it will only work for DJI, Parrot, and Unique. So at the bottom here, I'll show you later. If your drones are not DJI, Parrot, or Unique, may not work, okay, or it will not work. These are the supported drones. So if you have a Phantom 4 Pro, 3 Pro, these pictures here, okay, these are the only supported drones, okay, by Pix4D capture. And there's, of course, DJI. There's a lot of them. And bottom, these are the expensive drones, the Matrice 600. And for Parrot, a brand, there are two, the Bebop, Anafi, and one for there's Unique and Parrot Anafi again. Okay. This is me. All right. So okay, as mentioned by Dr. Barber a while ago, before you use Pix4D capture, try to use first your drones app. For example, if you're using a DJI, use your DJI app like DJI Go 4, DJI Pilot, whatever software app you're using, because you will need to calibrate your compass, your IMU, set your camera, and everything. All those little details has to be done in your drones software or app. So once you're done with setting up everything, calibrating everything with your drones app, you can now go to the DJI Pix. I'm sorry, with the Pix4D capture. So here, just showing you screenshots here. First thing on the setting, it will ask you like what drone it is. So you pick your drone, okay, and then select also the camera. Other things that are important to is what units are you using. Are you using feet or are you using? So at the end also there's a slide here that you will see. This is the auto download images when the mission ends. So you want to slide it on, turn it on, you slide that there. So it will automatically download the picture to your Pix4D cloud or locally to your SD card. So for me, I always, of course, I always save it to my SD card, but there are times also that I put it straight to the cloud so it can easily be processed right away. And I have a client, okay, they want it right away, the picture, I can process it right away. So it goes to the cloud and I have a Pix4D cloud account. And then from there, I can process using my other software. You can change your resolution to on this part here. So when you select a mission, okay, this is how your drone will fly automatically or autonomously. So it can be a polygon, grid, double grid, singular, or a free flight. Okay. It depends upon your goal. Okay. So if you are covering or trying to get a map of an area, but it's not a square, you can use a polygon. Use your for 2D maps. Another way is using on 2D maps is you can use a grid. So you can see the line here, that is how it will fly. And for 3D models, and you can use a double grid because you would want to get all the angle or most of the angle here. Okay, so you want more pictures, or you want to get all the angles of the area or a building or whatever you're taking a picture of. And in some cases, like towers, single buildings, you can use a circular. If you are comfortable with flying the drone on, you can fly it manually or you do a free flight. So it depends upon the case. You plan your mission. Think like how do you want to take the picture of your target? Check the obstructions and everything. So when you pick that, okay, you can adjust your parameters here. The angle of the camera is very important. Okay, so if you see here, you are in 90 degrees, or we call it nadir, your camera is pointing straight down. When it's 0, it's pointing on the horizon. So there are cases that you will have to change this, sometimes 60 degrees. Like for me, whenever I use my drone for thermography, I use 60 degrees. So for mapping, 2D maps, I just use sometimes straight down. Okay, and don't worry, Pix4D capture will help you with the angle. It will tell you, hey, you have to change the angle because this is the best. Okay, the front overlap and side overlap, normally there are defaults here, but you can change it. The more overlap that you have, the better, because you don't want to miss any picture or a part of the area that you are trying to cover. Also, your speed is very important. Depending on the quality that you want, you can do it slower or you want it faster if you have, let's say, if your battery doesn't have that high capacity, because your activity or your task here will also depend, of course, the weather. And if it's windy, your drone will work harder and your flight time will shorten. And like for me, when I do thermography, I try to do it slow, and because I'm covering only a small area like a house or like a roof. So, but if you're covering a big area, you have to consider these two. Once you see also here your the lines here, these are the paths where your drone, okay, you can adjust this. So whenever like for me, I adjust it depending on the wind direction. Okay, and sometimes I adjust it because I'm trying to maximize the battery of the drone. So sometimes on a different path, I can get more minutes. On a different, okay, path, it'll be longer. So you see here on the map here, there's a start and an end. If your drone is in the middle, don't worry, you don't have to walk to the start. What's going to happen here is when you fly your drone, it will go to your starting point, follow the line there, and while it's flying this path, it's taking pictures. And then it will go to the end. Once go to your end point here, it will go back to you. And most first time drone flyers, autonomous drone flyers, this is very hard to do because you don't know what's going to happen. And it's very scary to let go of your drone fly by itself. Even my first few times that I was gathering data for a farm, it was very like scary for me to let go of the drone. But you will get used to it. You know your drone, you know its capabilities, you know the weather, you know where you're flying, so you trust your drone.
Do you know what would be the typical distance between the photos to make sure that you do a good coverage? Do you know, is there a set space, 10 feet between photos?
Normally they say it's 40 meters or 130 something feet. Okay, you would want, of course, we are limited not to go higher than 400 feet. So when you do mapping here, you can go low as this, and it depends, sir. Okay, for example, there are buildings there. Like you have to know the buildings here, how high it is, and if there are towers here. So based from my researches, they say 40 meters or 130 feet. But when I do, for example, when I do agricultural mapping, I go up to 300 feet because I will need to get more data from the reflectance of the plants, okay, on that height.
And
Thanks,
I would
sir.
this is Paul Rossi with 910 Drones. Regarding the overlap, these are going to be adjusted by the flight software itself as far as when the drone takes the pictures. The higher your altitude, the more you can see, the lower the resolution. So you won't have as many photos because of that overlap. But it depends if you're doing vegetation, hard surfaces, buildings, the amount of overlap you want is going to change based on the project, which Mario mentioned in previously. And all of that is done in the software. 65-75% overlap is kind of what we're seeing in the industry as an average. If you're doing some thermal mapping, you're going to want to have more overlap so that you can actually get a better overall stitch, because it's all about the tie points and how you can tie those images together.
Yes, sir. So again, the software Pix4D capture or my other software, they suggest.
Mark, I'll follow up on one follow-up question then. So the question was because Paul said that the 65% overlap, he says all handled by the software. The question is that a setting in the software or does the software automatically handle it? I see you said side overlap 70%, front overlap 80%, angle 90%. And I mean, that's my question. Does the software itself handle it, or do we set it as a preset and then the software handles it?
No, sir. The software has like a default. When you open it, it will be like this, but you can change it. You can manually change the overlap. Okay, and once you change the overlap, it will stay that way when you fly, per my experience.
Thank you, sir.
Initially, I would keep it in auto and do some flying with some 2D and 3D models and see what it looks like, and then go back and adjust your settings, do a little more or a little less, and then look at what impact that might have.
And also, important thing that you need to check when you're trying to check your coverage. Like, will one battery be enough to cover like 5 acres of land or 1 acre? You have to check your battery, and you can see it on your later on. Like this area here, it will take like 20 minutes with, okay, and it will tell you also like you might need more battery, because you know that when you know your flight time, when you know your drone, you know how long it will fly, and you know your battery's flight time, you can see like, oh, this is too big. I have to cut my job into like, or cut this area into 2 parts because I need this, and I will get another battery. There are drones, or there are flight also like a multi-battery mission where you can go back to you and you can change the battery for put a second battery and then continue the mission too. So you can use a multi-battery, or if we're just planning to just use one battery, you have to take in consideration your flight. So
Mario, we have one question. The question was, what is front overlap? The thing said front overlap. What is front overlap? Side overlap? What is that?
when you are taking a picture, sir, so when the drone is taking a picture on the flight, you want the other pictures to have an area, the overlap. So when you're flying forward, you will see it's like you want to have extra space in the forward. When the drone is taking a picture, you want that picture to have enough overlap in the front, okay, so that when another picture goes to the front with it will match. Because remember, in mapping, the more key points that you want, or the more interesting features of the pictures, the more easier the software will be able to stitch all the pictures. So overlap to the front and overlap to the side will make stitching of the pictures easier for the software, because it will get more data or key points. So when you'll see here, sir, for example, here in this picture here, once you start flying, you will see some icons here, like a picture icon. So it's telling you that, hey, on this spot, on this path here, the drone is taking pictures at this point here. So you can have, it depends on your area. If it's a bigger area, definitely you will have more pictures taken. If it's a double grid, this will be a lot. Okay, so when you're flying a double grid mission, it takes more battery and more flight time. And you will see here on Pix4D capture that the information is here, like the drone, what camera, battery left, and all this information here. You will also see on live where the drone is at. So of course, as part 107, you want to see where your drone is flying. Like, we're maintaining visual line of sight. And if there's a problem, you can pause it, and you can bring back the drone, and you can continue the mission. So if it stop here, it will go to this point here and then continue until it goes to the end, and then we'll go back to you. So if you see here, sir, this part here, this is where the drone took off. This is the takeoff. Okay, the takeoff in the landing area. Went here to the start point, and then flying the path, and then going to the end, and then back here. Okay. So once you get the pictures, sometimes most of the time, like for me, I usually check the pictures right away. I want to see like, oh, this is good. Oh, I have to do it again. And then once everything's good, of course, it's saved in your SD card, or you can upload it to the cloud. If you have a Wi-Fi in this area here, you can upload it to the cloud. And then from there, you can process it. Okay, so when you have gotten all the pictures now that you want, it will be processed in a software or a program like Drone2Maps or Pix4D Mapper or other programs. So any question on Pix4D capture? So going back here again, when you're flying, okay, so you see here, this is the polygon, okay, the polygon mission. So some flights needs to be in a different way, not a perfect square or rectangle. Okay, can be a grid. Okay, your mission can be a double grid, or you can do circular, like if you are taking pictures of towers, power lines, or structures like single that we need to get all the sides. Okay, and if you are comfortable, do a free flight here, and or you can do multiple battery flights or mission. Okay, so any question here? Pix4D capture, just to get the pictures of the area that we want to map.
You could use, there are other software applications that you could use.
Other apps
Yeah.
there that can do autonomous flights. Also, I like Paul has shared, I usually go to the Pix4D resources. Like for example, your question about the overlap. I'm gonna share this. So you see here, if you go to Pix4D, there are a lot of documentation if you wanna know about overlaps. Here's the overlap. Okay, so generally 75 to 60. And then if you are mapping vegetations or fields, you can do 85 front, 70 side. Okay, so these are the suggestions based from Pix4D and probably from the experience of other um, drone operators here. So here's what you see here. When you do an 80% okay, overlap, this is what it will look like. So picture here in the red, okay, and between the two images, there's greater than 80% for front overlap. So these resources here, if I have question, because of course I'm not from Pix4D, I'm not the one who created the software. They are the ones who are the experts on this, and they suggest things like this, especially on settings, on the quality of the pictures, and other stuff. Okay. So regarding the installation of the software, I have to ask the IT department to allow the DJI website to pass through their firewalls, stuff like that. So in my class, I have an image of the desktops, and so one desktop, they just image it or clone it. It will be the same as the other desktop.
Mario, do you know how much room maps, Drone2Maps takes up?
1.8 gig.
1.8 gig. Thank you.
So that is just the application, okay? And of course, if you put more pictures, that's where it will make things slow. Like there are already like for me like hundreds of, or I reached before thousands of pictures. It took me like a day to process all those pictures. And I do have like a fairly fast laptop here, but it still took me a day to process all the pictures in one of my software.
How many pictures was it?
I think it's about 800 pictures, sir.
Okay.
800 pictures. So, and the quality, of course, I was setting the quality of the pictures to a higher resolution because I would like to get a really good map. So for those people, I'm not sure if all of us have a background in mapping or photogrammetry or stuff like that. But I'm just here to just to give you a basic concepts about mapping. Okay, and as Dr. Barnes said to me before, mapping is very, very crucial. If we know how to map properly, if we know how to map safely, okay, your skill set will become wider. You can map for agriculture, you can map for cities, for government, for You can use maps for first responders, and there are a lot of like multiple opportunities for you if you know how to map. Okay? You can also do again thermography, search and rescue, mapping. Okay, so basically mapping and drones, you will have to learn how to do autonomous flying. Okay, I know it's a skill to manually fly, but big areas that you have to cover, you have to trust the program or the software of your drone to do its job because it's computer based and it can fly, let's say, more consistently than a human person flying it. Okay, so for those of you who don't know photogrammetry, okay, it's just basically the use of photographies or photos in surveying and map. You will hear that word in other uh, folks or other drone flyers, okay, and it can be used to measure the distances between objects, and it can utilize the images to create 3D renderings. So you know that photo is just 2D, but we can use that also to do 3D stuff. One of the things that you will see later on in Drone2Map is the maps. Okay, so you might ask, what is orthomosaic? What is DSM? What is uh, control points? What is those things? So as I go through the Drone2Map, I will touch a little bit of that. I will not touch extensively all the features and all the buttons there because it will probably take days to do that. Okay, so I'm going to share you now my screen on Drone2Map. So, all right. So when you open Drone2Map again, it will ask you once only to log into your credentials, and then this is what you will see. Okay, so you see here that there are templates here. 2D Rapid is if you're trying to make a map like really quick, okay? And but again, the resolution is low. Okay, there's a full 2D, there's a 3D mapping and other stuff here. So I'm going to do, for the sake of time, we'll do a 2D Rapid. So here you will see the output will be like this. Okay, for full, you can do multispectral. If your drone has a multispectral camera, this is what you will need to use. So this is for like vegetation, for mapping agriculture. You will need a multispectral camera. Okay, if you want to really get it right. Okay, of course, 3D mapping is the uh, the 3D, okay, the whole of a building of or something. So let's go back to 2D Rapid, and then you will click. Okay, from here, just click next. Okay, so on this again, on this demonstration, I don't want you guys to be overwhelmed, and I don't want our students to be overwhelmed too. We can go on to the more advanced topics, but right now, once we have the kids do this, the basics, it will be easier for us to move on to the more advanced features of the software. So again, go back here. I'm going to start with a template, which is a 2D Rapid, a fast one, and then a fast processing. Okay, and I click next. Here I give a name. For example, let's just use demo. Okay, so of course you give your project name, and here you don't have to change it unless you want to change it. This is where your project will be stored, okay, on this URL here. So the next thing that you gotta do is you have to add your images. Like for me, as I've told you, I put my images in a folder, downloaded from the ESRI, okay, and the folder is drone images. So if I open here, I have 36 pictures here, JPEGs. So these pictures here, they are not just pictures here, plain pictures. If you see here, there's a TIFF JPEG files that can be taken here. So pictures here or those data that are taken by the drones are not just basically pictures. They also have data like or information like the coordinates, the time, all those little information are embedded in those pictures. And that's why don't wonder if you take a picture using your phone, okay, Apple or the other companies there know where you are, okay, and other stuff. So again, information are embedded on those pictures. So if you have like 30 pictures here or more, the best way for you to put all the pictures here is just click one and then hit Control A and it will select everything. You don't want to pick everything or hit Control one at a time. It will take forever. So pick one here and Control A and click OK. So see here, all the okay, this picture here shows you that this picture here is in this coordinates here, and altitude, and also the date taken and the time. Okay. Now you will need to create. Okay, click the create. All right. So it's okay. So all the pictures have been loaded now here. So right on the right side here, this is how you manage the ones that you want. Do you want an ortho mosaic, DSMR, a terrain model? You put a click here. If you don't want it, uncheck it so that the program will not process or will not create the kind of map. But for a 2D map, these are the general kinds of map that we have: ortho mosaic, DSM, or DTM. Okay, so once it's here, you will see also the process here. There's an initial stage. What products are you want to make? So for us here, we're doing a 2D products, and then there's also processing. You are not started yet. You have to click the start button here. Let me make my mouse bigger. Yes, sir. So I'll explain it later. It's on the left side here. So from here, you have to click here on the home, the start. Okay, so it will start the processing. So in this group here, it will start the process. So checking your, of course, camera model and everything. On the right side here, you will see it's doing the initial process here. Okay, it has the yellow background here, and then you will see your process here. Depending on your how fast your computer is, it can be like clock mine for 5 minutes. It was able to do a 2D map for 5 minutes on this one. Okay, so while it's being processed here, I would like you guys to see on the left part here. Okay, so the left part here, it will tell you all the contents of your map. Okay, so you see the orange line here. This is your flight line. So I think start here, and then that's your flight line. If you don't want to see that, okay, just put uncheck here, right? But if you want to see where your flight path here, put a check. Now the images here, all the, as Dr. Barber said, these blue dots here, these are the points where the drone has taken a picture of that area here. So picture here and so on. You should have 36 of that, okay? Based from the folder. So if you don't want to see that, if it's bothering you, this one, you can just uncheck that and it will be gone. The flight lines, it will be gone too. Okay. So let's put it back again. Image, okay. The control here, the ground control point, this is more of an advanced. Okay. So when you put or add ground control points, This is like, this is putting some markers on the, okay, I'll show you there. It's putting like markers in an area here. They suggest at least five points area that you want to map, and then that points, those are your references. So when you know this point here in the middle of the circle here, it's on this x coordinate, y coordinate, or this, right? The picture will like correct itself, okay, in the processing. Okay, it will automatically correct and it will be more. Your map will be more accurate. Okay, there are systems there like the RTK, okay, DGS RTK, and there are devices that you need to use to know the exact GPS location of that point. So again, for ground control point, if you put here a reference, let's say reference number 1, you place a marker, okay, a physical marker here. All right, so again, going back, so ground control point is just making a reference here and making sure that those reference match with your picture on an exact coordinate, and that makes your map really accurate, like plus or minus 2 centimeters. Okay, that's how accurate it is. 2 centimeters. That's your margin of error there. Okay, so right now you see here it's done. Okay, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So you see here, this is the map that is created on this one here. Again, on the left here, I don't want to see the blue dots. Take it off. I don't want to see the flight lines. Okay, that's it. Okay, so now I have a good view of this one here. So, or I'm going to visit some mosaic. So I'm going to uncheck the kind of product. Okay, so I'm going to uncheck the digital elevation. Okay. Okay, for the so orthomosaic, guys, they are actually just an accurate representation of an area created out of many photos that have been stitched together and geometrically corrected. I repeat, geometrically corrected. So let me start first. Okay, so you see here, this picture here, okay, you will see a normal aerial photo will look like this. So it depends on the flight direction, the angle of the camera, the gimbal, the lens, all those stuff here. You will see things like this, the walls, like that. Okay, but when it's corrected for mapping, we call it an ortho rectified or an ortho photo. It's flat. Okay, it's like really straight down. So that is already being corrected. Okay, so that is the just the basic orthomosaic map. Okay, one thing that you would also want to know about the DEM or digital elevation. Okay, so the DEM, okay, if you see this picture here, okay, so the picture here, the digital elevation is just a specialized database that represents the relief or how high or low the surface between points of known elevation. So you see here, this is one of the things that Drone2Map can do. Okay, it can visualize the contours and elevation. Okay, and two types here are the first one is called the digital surface model, as from the word here, surface. Okay, so it includes tree canopies and buildings on the picture here. Now, the other thing, other DEM is what you call an elevation model. So every pixel of that picture, okay, has the data on how high or low in reference to the sea level. Okay, so it can be meters or sometimes it can be feet. So this is what you call the digital elevation model. Now, going back here to Drone2Map here, if I uncheck orthomosaic here and I click the digital surface model, yeah, okay, this is how it will look like. Okay, so it's here. This is the digital terrain model and digital surface model. Okay, so this is more of an advanced stuff, but okay, let's go back to orthomosaic. Now we have the picture here. Okay, so from here, the things that would be nice for you guys to know is if I zoom out here, this looks like just a blob here. Okay, but my drone automatically took pictures in and stitched and it looked like this. So if there's a question like my first is like, I don't want the stuff here, I just want the house here. So what you can do from here is if you see the draw here, you can click, let's say just want this house here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and double click. So when you double click the last part here, okay, you have that area that you want, hopefully that you just want, and then you can clip. So once you clip it, yes, we'll process a little bit. There, you have it now there. Okay. So I would like to know the other stuff here too. If I want to compare it to what map is already there. So there's a thing called a base map. So the base map here, if I want to see like the other buildings in that area, let's say I click this image here, that will be my base map now. And now you see where it is. Okay. If I don't need much detail, I just need the streets. Like let's say this one, the streets here. This is what we'll have. Okay. And one last thing, if you let's say I want to know the terrain in this area here. Okay, it'll be like that. Okay, so there are like things that you can do here, like in the base map. So if you want to go back, here, you can just clear. Okay, and it will go back to your original. Okay, so here it's a 2D. If I go to 3D map here, I don't have because I did not ask Drone2Map to process it. So here, when you click this part here, you do a measure of point cloud. Okay. Insert the product for 3D. See, I don't have it right now. So here, you see here, number 2 and number 3 is being, okay, let's say activated. You can now start. Okay, so it's 8:15. Let's see. So point cloud, okay. While we're here, this is giving you what's a point cloud here. Point cloud is a point in a cloud, in space. So every point, okay, here, every day, here, there, it has some information on the elevation and the coordinates, and it can, those points here, like If you have a box, you have a marker, you put a dot around the exterior of the box, then you will create a mesh. Okay, with that dots there, lots of dots, okay, it can give information about the shape of a building, a tower, a car, or anything that's taken by the drone. Okay, so those information you can create a 3D product. Mhm. So yeah. So at this point here, at this point, try to give a little bit break. Any questions on the basic?
Nothing in the chat, Mario.
While it is waiting here, I'm gonna go back to 50%. I'm trying to go back to the ground control point here on the left side here, the ground control point, to give you a clear idea on how it works. Okay, so the ground control point. So basically here you have to make some visual pictures that see um, you can see when the drone takes pictures. So you're taking like say 36. You got 36 pictures. You want to make sure that one of those pictures has these markings here to know exactly like this. You make a paint on the road, or you can do a board like this with the black and white, so you can see exactly the center. Mhm. And some people just use cones. So once you're making that mark, like this guy here, okay, you will need a device like an RTK GPS receiver and a base station, okay, to get exactly that point. Okay, you want to get the coordinate of that point. Once you've gotten those points, you have to put it in a CSV file or let's say an Excel sheet, okay, with a proper format. So this point here, there's a proper format for that. Okay. So for example, you're mapping this area here. You would want to have again at least 5 GCP or 5 ground control points. Okay. The more, the better. But it's a task to do that. Okay, because you have to go to all these points here. What if this big area here? And you want to make sure that when you put those ground control points or your reference points, make sure that there's no shadow and no obstruction on these points here. So this one here. Okay. So there are drones that can do automatic, or we call it a real-time kinematics, getting the GPS correction automatically. DJI has it, but it's very, very expensive. Okay, but the process that I've shown you a while ago, this is what you call the post-processing kinematic. Like you mark again. Later on, you will find in the set of pictures where is that reference number one, and then you will upload it in your, okay, when you will upload it here. Okay, so when you do those things here, it makes your map very accurate. Again, it can be from plus or minus 2 cm. So while waiting, okay, another one tip that, or one comment about the software, it will ask you to update. Okay, when you first download and install the Drone2Map, okay, you can use it. But once you updated it, based from my experience, it had problems downloading or opening my previous project. So I have to restart everything with the updated software. So basically, um, like per my experience, okay, the new updated Drone2Map didn't work for my maps created in the first version. Okay. So right now, you see I'm in the post-processing now. Okay, so should be good now. So, okay. So with when you point your mouse and click on one point of the picture here, there will be lots of information that you will find. See? Yes. Okay, so let me uncheck the flight lines images. Okay, so from here, if I get closer to this house now, you see, I can at least see the other stuff here on 3D. I click on this icon. Okay, so I can see the area here. Okay, so this is the 3D. Okay, the 3D map. Okay, and if you get there, so this is the product now, the 3D map that we want. In some cases, like if we're just trying to get, let's say, the house. Okay, this house here. If you're just trying to get the 3D information of this house, you can get it, and then you can convert it into an STL file, which you can use for your 3D printers. So the information that you can get from here, okay, can be converted into an STL file and make some 3D models if you want. Okay, so here, all right. So that is the 3D, and then back to 2D. Mhm. Mhm. So you see this one here. When I uncheck this part here, this is the point cloud. So this point cloud here are the ones giving information to the software how to make the 3D product of the map. Okay. So let me uncheck this first. So just to give you something. If I click point here, there in the ortho mosaic, okay, it tells me information about every pixel here. Okay, we go to, let's say, digital surface. Okay, okay. Sure. Mhm. So here under digital terminal, you can see like information here, other information, like the pixel, how high, how low, and you also know the coordinates. Okay, so once you're done with everything here, I'll put it back here. Okay, what do we do now? Okay, so let's say I want it here, and I wanted to do, let's say, a straight line. Okay, base map. Okay, so once you're done with this, you will have to print it out. Okay, so if you want to print it out, you can do the share here and then export. So when you export this, okay, you can change all the parameters that you want here, but basically you want to export it, and then click this one here. And this okay. They already made one. So that's it. And if you want to see what you have, it's a PDF file. It will look like this. So if you're not happy, I don't want a night base map. I'll just put just an image here. And then click export again. Say in the middle here. Click export. And it will automatically be saved in your folder. Okay, so let's review it. Looks like this. And that is your like final product. Okay, so
You can save that project, Mario, and if you have more houses being built in that area, you can go back and just say refly this area. You don't have to go back and do it, and that way you get the exactness each time. So you can see what's being built or any new projects being done. Correct?
yes, sir. So you let if a general contractor or an owner would like to do like a progress of a construction progress, you can do that. From the beginning, this working, you can do that, sir.
Dr. Barber, what is your recommendation or suggestions on these teachers? What kind of projects would you say that they could be able to do, offer their students to be able to do and to understand this? I mean, it's just really wide open. If they want to go map the school, map the ball field, if they want to do a special project in the community, marshlands, helping doing any studies with any environmentalists, you know, it's just really unlimited on what they can do for a project to be able to show that they're able to map, correct?
Yeah, I mean, as long as we make sure that, again, safety is number one. It really doesn't matter to us. So I don't think we really care what it is you fly as long as you fly it and map it. Don't you think so, Wayne?
Yes, sir. They've got to actually fly it. They can't just have stock photos they use. They've got to actually fly it and set the parameters up, the forward and side overlaps to make sure there's no holes in their photos. And I would suggest if you're going to do that whatever you pick it for all your students. So if you're going to be doing a mapping class and you're going to pick the ball field, my suggestion is everybody flies the ball field. Don't make it hard or easier on one student or the other. Make sure it's whatever it is, it's fair. And my suggestion is they map the whole thing. Now, next semester, another class, you can go and change locations. But for testing purposes or to be able to measure without their mapping, my suggestion is they map the same thing.
We're trying to say that the student knows basic mapping, okay? The very basic entry-level mapping. They're not going to be experts at it, but they know how to do mapping. So if a company hired them to do a drone operator and they wanted them to do mapping, they could say they would know enough to get started.
An 11th grader that takes drone 1 and then he takes drone 2 in 12th grade, let's say he goes into the job market right after 12th grade to fly for a land surveyor. In that interview, he's going to be asked specific questions, you know, well, what kind of control points do you need to set before you can do your flight mission or your flight planning? And just basic vocabulary, I think, is, you know, you need it for fundamental mapping, but being able to talk intelligently with a licensed professional, you know, hoping to get a job right out of high school, I think it's very important.
Okay, I'm going to share this one here. If you see here on my map here, okay, the picture taken by the drone is not aligned to the base map, to the actual map. Do you see that, how off? Okay, so if we see this rotunda here, not off, is off to the actual rotunda map, okay, off to the picture taken by the drone. That is where ground control points comes in. And the good thing with our program here is we are exposing the students to the fundamentals, because when you go to a specific company, they have their specific drone, they have specific software. So They're very specific. So that is where we learn more. At least here we provide them the fundamentals. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and just email me if you have questions about the software or doing autonomous flying.